Hey folks, I'm Tina Hui with Follow Coin, and we're here at Money 2020, 2015 in Las Vegas with Bobby Lee. Bobby, please introduce yourself and tell us about BTC China.
Yeah, hi everyone. So we're actually BTCC now.
Oh,
Yes,
wow. When did that
that's right.
happen?
We rebranded in September. So I'm Bobby Lee. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BTCC, and I'm based in Shanghai in China, and I'm here in Las Vegas for the Money 2020 conference. Very
Well,
excited to be with you.
I'm very excited to actually have you on the show finally, since we actually have been big fans of your work since November 2013
That's
at
right.
Inside
That's right.
Bitcoins in Vegas.
That's right.
So tell us about BTCC.
Yeah. So BTCC, like we said earlier, started as BTC China. Started a little over almost 4.5 years ago, in early 2011. And we were the first exchange, Bitcoin exchange in China, and now we're the largest and amongst the biggest, in terms of Bitcoin exchange, Bitcoin company in the world.
In the world.
Well, we do a lot of things now. So in the early years, we only had an exchange, but over the last 3 years, we've expanded to offer services all across the Bitcoin ecosystem. Our vision is that everyone will use Bitcoin, and so our mission is to provide the world with the most convenient and most trustworthy digital currency services. So BTCC is all about blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies,
Right.
and this is very exciting. Yeah.
So what products and services do you offer?
Yeah. So our main, most popular, and most well known is the exchange. We also have a wallet, a online, wallet. It's called JustPay. We also have, last year we launched our own mining pool.
Wow.
So we now have one of the largest mining pools in the world at about 13-15% hash power.
That's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
global network. So we mine, some 20 blocks per day, and we have a network of all these miners in China who use our mining pool. Very popular.
What kind of miners do you use? Can we ask that?
Yeah. So we don't actually do the mining ourselves. What we have is people out there, entrepreneurs and individuals, would buy mining hardware to mine. These are ASIC machines.
Wow, that's very
really
impressive.
fast, yeah, really fast chips. As you know, today the block reward is 25 Bitcoins per block, and there's about 144 blocks per day. So the network totally mines about 3,600 Bitcoins a day, and then a lot of people in China are doing the mining, and then they would
That's-
join pools to do it together.
That's impressive because
Yes.
that means you might actually be one of the decentralized mining pools in
Well,
the world.
technically it's centralized because we're the entity.
Right.
BTCC is the mining pool. However, we cater to many people, both in China and abroad, who want to mine.
So can we call it remote mining?
Yeah, I guess.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yes.
So what is it like the market in China per se?
Yeah, the market is still, well, we saw the market being very frothy in 2013. And what's happened in the last 2 years is that there's been a bear market. You know, the price has declined a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but even in the last 1 month, I think the price has come back. So I believe we're seeing the end of the bear market, and there might be, coming up to the next bull market. What happened over the last 4 years, 5 years, is that 2013 turned out to be a very critical year because in early 2013, right after the block reward halving, so as you recall, Bitcoin used to give out 50 Bitcoins per block. That was back up until November of 2012,
Yes.
October, November. And soon after, when it fell down to 25, that's when Bitcoin started price rising above $1, $2, $5, and increased up to, was it the historic high of $32. So by April, it crossed that historic high, which was set back in 2011. So that's the first bull run of Bitcoin, going from a few dollars a Bitcoin up to $32, $36.
And then it skyrockets.
Well, and then it fell back down.
Oh, right.
So by May, June, it fell back down, and then went it went actually crossed that and went up to $165, and then it fell back down. So that was the first bull run. It crossed the old price maximum, and then went past that to 165. So that peaked in April of 2013, and then it fell back, and then for the summer it was trading at around $100 US, and then it started rising again by end of September, right around when we introduced zero fees for trading commission.
Right.
So we limited trading fees, and then the whole China market came in and began speculating on Bitcoin.
What was that like for you?
It was just heck of busy. It was a really busy times. We had a busy summer already in 2013, and by the fall it was just unstoppable. And then the price went up. It crossed 165, went 200, 300, 500, and went to like 700, 1200, and then overnight came back down. Of course, we had the China PBOC decision at the end of 2013, and since then it's been pretty much a bear market. It came down to 800, 500. People thought it was going to stabilize at 500, but kept going down to 400, 300. And then it even saw a price below $200 briefly. So now it's stabilized around 250, but in the recent 3 weeks, it's gone back up to about 270, 280. So today it's at 280. And to tell you the truth, we're seeing a lot of traffic now in China.
Yes, I hear that.
Just in the last month.
And then I was actually curious to ask you.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me a tip in China. I won't say who.
Yeah.
But they said that there might be Ponzi schemes.
Yes, it is. It is. I think that's a possibility. We actually know that there are Ponzi schemes going around. One of the more popular ones is this thing called 3M. It's run out of I think some Russian origins. Anyways, it's a global pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme.
So for people who may not be familiar with Ponzi schemes, especially in the Bitcoin trading world,
Yeah.
can you explain how you can tell if someone's kind of occurring and what the characteristics of that
Yeah.
could be
So
like?
so this is not a Bitcoin issue per se. Ponzi schemes are they occur because some greedy individual wants to set up a Ponzi scheme to make money. Start out with Charles Ponzi many years ago, a century ago, and
I mean, it happens in fiat and currency.
yeah,
global
exactly.
currencies
Yeah,
all
people,
around.
and it usually is based on something, whether it's tulips, stamps, or some other asset class. So this time they're trading a altcoin currency. That's what the scheme is about. But what they do is the members, I believe, they're using Bitcoin to make payments to enable the Ponzi system. So it's hard to track down. I mean, unless you're
Avidly trading.
trading it, yeah. So
In a
we
complex
actually
way.
warn our users to stay away from these Ponzi pyramid schemes because we know, I've read the book about Charles Ponzi, and we know that all Ponzi schemes end up going bust. It might take 3 months or 6 months, but they all run out of steam, and then it falls over, and people lose their money.
But it is
Unfortunately.
interesting. It affects how people trade, right? I mean, it must make this whole
Yeah, the trade
environment really volatile.
Yeah, the Ponzi, the pyramid scheme, it doesn't affect the trading as much. They're basically new people coming in, buying Bitcoin to pay off the early investors, if you will. It's no different than ransomware, right? You've heard of ransomware, the software malware that locks up a computer.
Right.
And what happens is people who want to get out of the ransomware would have to go buy Bitcoins. So they would go to exchange to buy Bitcoins. And then these actions actually, bring more people into the Bitcoin world, for good or bad, actually. And then the price naturally goes up because there's more awareness and more activity. It's kind of like, sad to say, it's kind of like the early years. Silk Road,
Silk
the
Road is,
platform
yeah.
for illicit goods and services. Unfortunately, there was a lot of activity Silk Road activity that used Bitcoin 2 years ago.
So, I mean, what is the market like in China? Do you feel like the government is becoming more accepting of Bitcoin, or less so? Or is blockchain a bigger emphasis there?
Yeah, of course, everyone's realizing the true star behind Bitcoin is blockchain technologies. And the government hasn't changed its official stance. The government understands that Bitcoin is a new innovation, that it is something worthy of more research and development, of paying more attention to it. So they haven't suffocated it or declared it to be illegal. It's only been put on the back burner, so to speak. They want to make sure, because Bitcoin is volatile, the price is volatile, and because it is so new and in some sense different because of the private keys and all that. For some people it's dangerous because they don't know how to manage their own private keys. Sometimes it gets stolen or hacked. But Bitcoin itself is very safe and secure. Bitcoin, the protocol, the blockchain protocol, and also the mining and all that. It's just that the government feels, today as it did 2 years ago, it felt that, the existing financial system, the banks, the regulators, the stock market, all that has enough trouble of its own.
Right.
We didn't need Bitcoin to pile in and complicate matters. So they decided to put on 2 separate swimming lanes, 2 separate tracks, if you will. And on the Bitcoin track, on the banking financial side track, it's mostly regulation that's mimicking the Western world, whether it's stock market regulation, banking regulation. China PBOC has recently revitalized or changed its rules again on interest rates, minimum deposit ratios and all that stuff to be more aligned with the Western world, more transparency and all that. On the Bitcoin cryptocurrency side, they're also waiting for the Western world to see how to treat things. So the European Union just talked about the taxation, the
Right.
VAT tax. So there's not going to be VAT tax for Bitcoin transactions. So that's good.
That's
To me, that's
huge.
normal. It's huge. It's a huge
Win for
statement.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a huge win for Bitcoin. It is what we expected, but it took some time for them to figure things out and make it real. Same thing in the U.S. We have regulation. Oh, the CFTC just talked about Bitcoin as a commodity, and we talked about, for example, BitLicense, DFS, New York DFS, and in California also looking to regulate and treat Bitcoin. So it's good. These are all small steps, baby steps in regulation. I think that's how it is because governments are naturally slow-moving, very conservative. A good thing. So my take is regulation will never happen soon enough. Regulation never happen well enough. It will never be fast enough. People always be complaining. There will always be detractors and complainers out there, but it's good. The funny thing is, people ask me, is Bitcoin a currency or is it a commodity?
Right.
Yeah, right. That's
It's like the big question
the
everybody
big
always
question.
asks.
And I say, don't worry about it. It's actually both. And the analogy I give is, in our old worldview, when we talk about physical matters, physical things are either currencies or commodities. It can't be both.
Right.
Right? However, Bitcoin is a new thing. It's a new beast. And when you analyze it deep enough, it behaves like a currency in some ways, and it behaves like a commodity. And that's why the CFTC says a commodity. The IRS may say differently, and then the stock market regulators or the New York DFS may see it more as a currency or equity. But in any case, we're not worried about it at all. It's kind of like in the physics world. I remember in high school physics, people talked about light. Is light a wave or is it a particle?
Right.
And it behaves like a wave, like a light wave. It behaves like a particle, and then what we realize is that it's both. It depends on the circumstances.
Very interesting, insightful analogy.
Yeah. So Bitcoin is both currency and commodity.
So how long have you been in Bitcoin or interested in Bitcoin?
Yeah, my brother Charlie, he's famous for Litecoin. He first told me about Bitcoin 4.5 years ago, in early 2011, and that's when I started. I did some mining, bought some Bitcoin, and then I was on hiatus a little bit for a year or two while I was at Walmart. And then after I left Walmart, I said, "Hey, let me do a startup." And this time, I said I want to do it in Bitcoin because
You just saw
Bitcoin is so interesting.
an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
In China, do you see more traders or investors?
More traders. Well, actually, that's not true. Investors, by definition, would have their sit on their assets and not to trade them much. So when we see as traders. Speculative traders, people who trade, day traders who trade. It's kind of like this. If you look at a bank, how many bank accounts they have, who are the customers that if you visit a local bank branch, who are the customers visiting the ATMs or the bank tellers? These are the people who are actively either depositing or withdrawing money from the banks.
Right.
What you don't see are people using debit cards, transactions, or sitting on the bank account and saving. Right, because by looking at the bank, who comes up to use the ATM, it's already a filtered view of the
Right.
world. So if you look at an exchange, who are the ones coming to an exchange? By definition, it's mostly traders, right? But there could be tons of Bitcoin
just
hoarders
hoarding.
or savers who have purchased Bitcoin and sitting on it and not coming back to the exchange because they're just sitting on it. Yeah, they're investing in it.
I think it's an interesting thing to see. What is your view, having watched Bitcoin kind of evolve?
Yes.
Tell us where you think it is in the present, what it's been like to watch it, and then where you think innovation is going to happen, and what's exciting to you.
Yeah, what's exciting is Bitcoin is the world's first digital asset class. So until now, everything you and I and everyone else in the world, what we have are physical assets. The clothes on our body, the watches, the wallets, the phones, the cars, the boats, the airplanes. Everything's physical. The stocks, the bonds, the money in our wallets, the gold coins. These are all physical things, physical assets, homes, real estate. But we're in a digital world, right? The internet's been around for 20 years now. Computers have been around for 50, 60 years. Mm-hmm. Electricity has been around for hundreds of years. And now for the first time, we have something called Bitcoin, which is a digital asset that people can send anywhere.
And it's global.
And it's global.
International.
Right? It's just like the internet brought us electronic communication of information. You can send information anywhere instantaneously at the speed of light. Right? That's how we make phone calls, send SMS, WhatsApp, WeChat, stuff like that. Bitcoin will now allow us to send assets electronically at the speed of light. So now I can give you something I could send you money to buy a Tesla. I could send you money to buy a cheeseburger.
You could definitely send me money to buy a Tesla.
Is that right?
Had to say it.
So I'm in China and you're in San Francisco. You could send me money to buy a Tesla.
There
right?
we go.
There we go. Or I could send you money to buy a Tesla. But the point is, it's almost like teleportation.
Right.
Right. Because in the old days, it's just sending information. I could tell you what a Tesla looks like. I could tell you the color, but I can't send you a Tesla.
Right.
But now I can send you the value of a Tesla, and you can buy it on your own in San Francisco.
It's pretty
And that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that doesn't depend on anyone else. And I'm doing it at the speed of light, right? With practically no fees, and boom, it shows up, in your Bitcoin account. You can buy a Tesla with it.
Yeah, it's
right?
exciting.
It's very exciting.
So what do you think it takes for Bitcoin to, become bigger?
Yeah, Bitcoin is already really big. In the last 7 years, Bitcoin has reached the several $billion mark, if you will. 4 years ago, it was only in the millions or tens of millions, hundreds of millions. But now it's in $3 or $4 billion. But $4 billion is nothing. The world has 7 billion people today. $4 billion is nothing.
Right.
Right? So at least if everyone spent 1 hour of their wage in Bitcoin, or maybe even $100 in Bitcoin, we're talking about maybe a $7 trillion economy for Bitcoin in terms of the circulation value. And what does it take to get there? Well, one thing is acceptance and understanding. So most people, through the press, through your efforts and others,
Thank you.
now a lot of people have heard about Bitcoin, but most people still don't have any Bitcoin. Understandable. So I think over the next few years, maybe it might take a decade or more, it's more and more people in the world will participate in the digital assets economy by owning real Bitcoin through private keys, either they hold themselves or through private keys that their bank or their Bitcoin exchanges or Bitcoin companies manage. So BTCC plans to be that. We plan to provide the world with the most convenient and trustworthy digital currency services to help everyone in the world own Bitcoin, hold their private keys. And when that happens, digital asset is ubiquitous. Anyone, anywhere can send digital money anywhere else. It doesn't have to replace currencies. It doesn't have to replace credit cards. But it will supplant the ecosystem with another choice for payments, another choice for savings, another choice for movement of assets. So this is what's so exciting. I think in the next, hopefully less than 20 years, we'll see Bitcoin becoming really pervasive. Just like in the last 20 years, the internet is not pervasive.
Oh, I know. It's
right?
ridiculous that we ever had no internet. Right?
Yeah, I remember 20 years ago in high school and college, we talked about, the internet information superhighway. The information superhighway with capital letters, right? That was the days where we know about it. We've heard of the information superhighway. We know that the thing called the internet, but no one's really used it yet.
Right.
And
no
everyone's
afraid to.
Exactly. That's exactly where we're at. Now everyone's heard of the thing called Bitcoin, digital currencies, right? But everyone's still afraid, maybe haven't had a chance to use it yet. But once you use it, it's a no-brainer. You can send a Tesla.
Right.
Electronically.
So easy.
Right? So easy. Send me one.
Well, and you don't need to go through all of the loops and barriers of signing up for a bank account.
That's right. So it's the same thing, right? So you could have an email address without buying a house with a physical mailing address or set up a post office mailbox.
Right.
Right. You can have an email address and you can send email to people. Remember the old days where you had to go to the post office and register and get a mail PO box?
Right.
It's kind of like that. It's bypassing the post office to get a PO box. You can now receive and send information. That's what email brought us. Bitcoin brings us the ability to send value, send assets electronically, speed of light, without having to ask for permission to get a bank account.
Which is exciting.
Is that cool?
It's very cool.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So people probably want to know more about China, right?
Yeah, people always ask about what's going on in China, and I tell you, it's what it is. People in China are very innovative. They're very hardworking. They try to make money. They work really hard. So a lot of day traders, a lot of people take advantage of lower electricity costs or sometimes free electricity. They set up mining equipment and mine bitcoins. So it's a big market. Chinese people are, naturally, the internet revolution is going really well there, right? So a lot of advances in that space.
Which brings up the topic.
Yeah,
with
please.
a lot of censorship sometimes with the internet.
Yes.
How do you guys circumvent that? Do you run into that as an issue?
We don't circumvent that. We don't run into it as an issue. It is what it is. Basically, China as a country has decided that for the better of society, the internet content websites should be registered. It is their prerogative, I guess, for the government. websites, operating websites in China have to be registered with the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. So we comply as well. So for our Chinese website in Chinese language, for users, the content is registered with MIIT, and if they're not happy, we'd have to comply and change the content, remove the content. But fortunately, what we do is not prone to censorship.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what has been significant challenges to kind of start working in China or expanding your business globally even?
Yeah, so China's really great. We have awesome talent there. Our R&D center is based in Shanghai. We have great software developers, engineers,
Yes.
Marketing people, designers, and a really awesome team. And we know that to build a global platform to offer the best product and services, it doesn't matter what country you're in. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin. It doesn't matter what language you speak. What matters, you have really dedicated, awesome people, passionate people to build these products and services. And I find that in China and Shanghai. So we're very, very fortunate.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what countries are you in operating?
So we're definitely operating in China. We haven't formally announced to be operating in any additional countries yet. But we know Bitcoin is global, so the reality is that anyone with a web browser, with internet connection, with a mobile app, mobile phone, smartphone, can log on, can download an app, and access our services. So we have customers from over 100 countries. So people using our services every day. So everything from the exchange to the wallet to the mining pool and much more down the road.
Fantastic. And what do you think about Money 2020?
It's great. It's my first time here at Money 2020. It's an awesome conference, lots of people, industry leaders, and I'm really happy that Bitcoin has its place at Money 2020 this year.
In finance and fintech.
That's right.
It?
That's right.
It's
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah. Just like I see a lot of traditional companies with credit card banks having big establishments. So Bitcoin is still a small player at Money 2020, but maybe in a few years we'll see Bitcoin companies being the dominant.
I know, it's really fascinating also seeing, I won't say who, but there are definitely different financial institutions, big ones and banks that are passively kind of curious about Bitcoin.
Yes. Well, of course, we all are, because it's such a cool thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.